What's going on, guys? In this video I'm going to be going over how to make your first game in Godot. So the version I'm using as well is the 4.3 stable. There is 4.4 stable, which I don't believe is actually that much different than 4.3 right now, but just so you guys know, if there is something you run into that might not work or might not be the same, I am using 4.3, and maybe by the time you see this video it might be a different version as well. So the game that I'm basically going to be running is going to be just like a super basic RPG, and I'll show you that. I'll mute the system audio for now. And the game is going to look something like this. So it's going to be a movable game where we can go around, we can have a little player, we have enemies, we have enemies, we have little keys, we have consumables, we can go to the next level, we can get a score, right? Go to our next level, right? This is what the game final product, or somewhat final product's gonna look like. But yeah, so for now we're gonna go to our Godot library, we're gonna click create. You can name your project whatever you want. I'm gonna just say like YouTube tutorial. And then in terms of rendering, we're going to stick with forward plus for now. Maybe later on, if you wanted to export it, you would switch to mobile or compatibility. But for now, we're just going to stick with forward plus. And then just some beginner tips when you have Godot Engine open here. So when you first look here, it's kind of like this blank, like 3D looking screen. Usually the very first thing you're going to want to do is go over here to your create root node. So I'm going to click 2D scene. And then right here, I have like a 2D kind of like workspace to work with right here. So before I even get started, like adding things into the game, doing anything like that, I'm going to kind of change a couple settings here to make it work better. So if I go up here to the top and click project and then project settings, one of the first things I'm going to want to switch is your window size. So this is like totally up to you what your window size is going to be. On my other game over here, I have it kind of small because I want it to be like a retro 16 by 16 like pixel art feel. So for this game, I'm going to go 320 by 180. So if we see here, it has like this default viewport width and height. That's basically the screen size of like your game. So we're going to go 320 by 180. And then in terms of mode, you could do windowed, but since we have a small size, it's going to be really small. So I'm going to go maximized. A lot of people go full screen as well, but again, it's up to you. This doesn't really matter right now. You can switch this later on. And then the one thing I am going to change as well is in this stretch over here, I am going to do viewport. So basically the viewport is that width and height we changed, and I only really want on the screen like the viewport. I don't want anything else. And then one other small thing we're going to change as well is over here in rendering, where it says textures. Because we're using pixel art, we're going to want to click nearest so that it goes to like the nearest pixel. Like if you don't do this setting, it'll make it look kind of blurry. And then there we go. So to start off here, we're going to zoom in a little bit by scrolling on my mouse wheel, kind of like center my viewport right here. And then we're going to start off with just like a main game scene. So I'm going to change this, node 2D, I'm going to rename it main. Then I'm going to save this, I'm going to rename it main, and you can see down here my scene is saved. So right now there's nothing here, it's just gray space. The next thing I'm going to start working on is creating the actual player. So this is, I feel like usually the first step in a game like this. So I'm going to click this little plus arrow. I'm going to open up to a new scene. So I'm not going to make my player in this scene. I'm going to create a new scene for him. I'm going to click other node, and my player is going to be a character body 2D. Base class for all GUI controls, adapts its position and size based on its parent control. So we have a character body 2D. And if you notice right here, there's this little warning sign that says, note, this node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Consider adding a collision shape or collision polygon shape. So yeah, no problem at all. So the next thing we are going to do is before we add that collision shape, we are going to add a sprite 2D. Now the sprite 2D can really be whatever you want. For the sake of this video, I am going to be using Kenny assets, or Kini. I don't know if it's Kenny or Kini, but I'm going to be using Kenny assets from www.kenny.nl/assets. And if you go over to 2D over here, most or all of the assets I'm going to be using is from this one right here called Tiny Dungeon. So I'm going to download this. I already have it downloaded. You can donate as well if you want. but then it opens up in a zip, and you'll have to extract that as well. If we go down here, I already have it like somewhere down here. I already have it down here, so I'm not going to download that again. And then I'm going to bring in this whole tiles folder, and I'm also going to bring in the whole tile map, which is going to look like this. So I'm actually going to use the packed version, but I'm going to bring in this whole tile map right here, and then each one of these individual tiles I'm going to bring in as well. So I'm going to bring in this tile map, and I'm also going to bring in just all of these tiles for now. And if we go back to our sprite 2D over here, I'm going to click this little button, click load. I'm going to go to my tiles, and I'm going to, for this tutorial, use this little wizard guy. So as we can see right here, we have our little wizard guy. He's right now can't really do anything, but we're going to make him be able to do some stuff later. And just one other like kind of small thing I'm going to do as well. I'm just going to center this, or I shouldn't say center it. I'm going to put the sprite 2D, I'm going to put everything up so it's just on top of this line right here, and that's going to help us later on in the video. So I'm going to rename this scene, and I'm going to save it as player scene. So right now we have our two scenes down here, and if you notice we still have this little warning right here. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a collision shape to this player. And the collision shape for this player, I'm going to use a capsule shape. So if we look over here, I'm at my collision shape, I click capsule shape, and then I'm going to kind of do it just like slightly smaller than my player, like kind of at like his feet almost. We're going to put that down a little bit, right around there. And obviously you can, play around with it or, change it however you want, but there's that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to instance. So if I click this or click Control Shift A, I'm going to put my player in my main scene. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my player. If you noticed here, I switched over to this move tool. I'm going to put my player in the scene, and if we save that, and if we go ahead and click play over here, it's going to ask you to select the main scene, which we're going to put as our main scene. We have a player, and I can't do anything with him yet. So we're going to add some movement to the player next. So in order to add movement to the player, there's a couple of things you're going to want to do. First thing you're going to want to do is add a script to this player. So if I click attach new or existing script, I don't have a script yet, so I'm just going to name it player.gd. And as you can see right here, they have some templates. You can go with the basic movement one for now, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this basic movement one, I believe, is more for like a 2D platformer type game. So if we just take a look here at what happens with that one, the player just immediately falls to the ground, right? So that's an issue in itself. So what we're going to do is we're just basically not going to use any of this script for now. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of that. And we're going to attach a new script to this. And I actually have this script open in a different tab over here. So let's see. So I'm going to put the script right here. And I'll go over kind of what each thing is. So first thing we are going to put down is export var speed float equals 100. So basically what this means is we have our character's speed, so how fast he moves across the screen, and we also have it at 100 right now. And also, if we needed, we could adjust it over in this little tab over here when I'm clicking the player, the character body 2D node. And I'm actually going to rename this to player as well. And then if we move on to here, next is like that function physics process. So this is very similar to what we had beforehand with the base script, but in this case we have actual like inputs here to move on like a 2D field. So this player is going to need to move in all four directions. He's going to need to move up, down, left, right, and I'll actually be able to move like diagonal as well. And then over here, we also have something to prevent faster diagonal movement. So basically what this is doing is essentially if you're clicking up and let's say to the right at the same time, the player is going to move faster diagonally. So we just add this little line of code. So if the direction is not vector 0, direction equals direction normalized. And then last, we're going to use velocity equals direction times speed. So whatever direction they're going is how fast they're going. And then the last thing as well is going to be move and slide, which is just like a base code and how to move a character body 2D in Godot. So then if we take a look, and oh, I'm sorry, before we do any of this as well, the last thing we need to do is, if you notice these, it says if input is action pressed, move up, down, left, or right. We're going to need to add that to our input map. So we're going to go to project, project settings, input map, and you can use Godot's built-in actions, but they usually advise you not to. Like you can see they have UI right, up, down, left. We're going to actually add our own. So we're going to close that out, add new action, and I named them move up. So move up, move down, oops, down, move right, move left. And then we need to actually add controls to that. So move up for now, I'm just going to keep as W, move down S, move right D, and move left A. And if you wanted to, like if you had a controller plugged in, you could also put the controller stick controls in as well, which I do. So I'm going to put the controllers in as well. I always think it's a good idea to put those inputs in, as well, just to kind of make it easier. And then we're going to close that. We're going to save everything. And right now, you might not be able to really tell, but I have a character that can move. And obviously you can see he kind of has just like a little 2D character sliding, but I do have a character that can move, but one issue is that he goes off the screen, which we'll fix later. And he doesn't really have any animations to him, which we also will add later as well. So yeah, there's a character that can move. And then the next thing we are going to do, I guess we can probably squeeze it into this video as well, is create a basic tile map. So in my main scene right here, I'm going to click add, because I want to add a child node, and I'm going to add a tile map layer. So I'm just going to create a super basic one. So this tile map layer is basically going to be like my background, like what my player is like standing on basically. So I'm going to click over here, tile set, new tile set. And then if I click down here to tile set, I need to add this tile map that I brought in earlier. And you can just click yes to automatically do it. And then if I go to the tile map section down here, basically you can click a square and then just paint it on here. And then there's all these different tools, which I'm not going to go over right now, but just for this video's sake, I'm going to put this tile map in. And as you can see, it's like over my player, so I need to actually move this up in the scene tree. And now my player has like kind of like this dirt, like sand to walk on. And I can also just like put in some walls really quickly for him to kind of like be around as well. So if we put in, let's just use this one for now. Put some walls up here. I know it looks kind of bad, but that's okay. Kind of just stick some walls up here just for, the video's sake. I can't actually remember which one of these works best for this. I think it's this one. Yep. Gonna go like that. Gonna go like that. Gonna go like that. I apologize if I'm going kind of fast with this one, but I'm just kind of doing this quickly because I don't want this video to be too long. And this will go over more tile maps like in a different video. I'm doing this kind of quickly just to show you what the player movement looks like. Then we'll click save for now. So now we have like kind of our player, we have a little background, and if we click play, you can see, it kind of looks like our player is walking around in this background. And the last thing I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to also add a camera 2D. So if we go to add, and we add a camera 2D, what this is going to do, and you want to make sure it's enabled, what this is going to do basically is it's going to follow our player. So if we look at this little purple window right here, that's basically showing us where the camera will be. So if we click play again, now we can see our camera follows our player, he moves around our tile map, and there you go. So there you have it in this video, kind of just a moving player that moves around. In our next videos, we'll work on some animations, we'll work on just like adding enemies, other things to our player, making him feel a little bit better. But that's it for this video. Feel free to, let me know in the comment section what you guys think, what else I should have, what other type of videos I should do as well. But other than that, thank you guys for watching.